Hi guys, my name is Russell and I make guide and race videos for iRacing here on YouTube. I am back with another track guide. We're into week 11 of season 4 2020 of VRS GT Sprint. I'm over at Circuit Zolder on the simulator with my Ferrari for what's going to be, I hope, a really stellar week of racing. It's a real handful, this track. It's only got 10 corners, but boy, is it going to keep you on your toes this week. If you'd like to try out my ghost cars, if you'd like to test my setup for the Ferrari and use it in your races this week, you can find it linked in the description below on my Discord channel. Come and join the Discord. We've got 350 odd drivers at the moment. We're growing quickly. We're doing leagues and community events and things like that. So come and check it out. We're going to do the usual thing this week. We're going to do an in-car lap with a bit of telemetry so you can see what's going on. And then we're going to zoom out into a chase view so you can see how the car's positioned on the track. And then I'm going to break down every single corner in detail, the entry, the apex, the exit, the braking zones, and so on. If you find this tutorial useful, if it helps you out and cuts your lap times down, please do consider hitting like on the video. Please do let me know in the comments below. Always keen to hear about how you guys are getting out there. If I don't see you before, hopefully I'll see you out there on the track this week. Good luck to you and see you soon. Cheers. Okay, so here we go with our 127.879 here at Zolder. We're over to the right, and what we're going to do is just as we come towards the end of the Coke Zero advertising. Do not endorse said product, FYI. We're going to start our braking. Now we need to initially brake reasonably deeply, you know, sort of 50+%. But as we come to the end of the Coke Zero banner and the wall continues, we're going to want to turn in with the wall as we bleed out of the brakes. And we're going to want to start that turn in initially very gently. And then increase as we hit the apex. And then we really do want to apex on the curb here. Just popping the curb a little bit is actually going to help the car rotate a little bit. But if we're not tight here, we're going to run out of track on exit. It tightens. We really need to keep the momentum up as much as we can in the first few corners here. It's a really fast section of track and you really need to make the most of it. So we're going to bleed out gently, but what we're also going to do is we're going to accelerate gently as well. We're going to make sure we don't run out of track. If you get a couple of wheels on the sand here, if you just catch a wheel, you're going to spin. Obviously, if you go full bore, just lift out the accelerator and come back on. You'll be fine. So we're just very gentle on the progression of the wheel there. And we're back on track, throwing ourselves back over to the left. And as we're about to hit the start of the dirt on the left-hand side of the track there, the sand trap, we're going to want to brake again. Again, a very similar sort of braking zone, maybe even a little bit less. We're going to do some initial braking, and then we're going to gently start to turn in towards the inside curb as we bleed out of the brakes. And then we need to come in, continue to sort of bleed out the brakes, increase the steering angle, and we really want to make sure we're tight to this curb at this point. Again, we're going to run out of track quite quickly, and there's a horrible array of no cut bricks on exit here, so you're going to know about it if you hit those. We want to keep away from them. Ideally, keep away from that curb altogether. But what we're going to want to do now is just maintain the steering angle. Bring it in nice and tight to the next curb, and then let it float out on exit. And then we come to our next really fast sweeping turn. This is the fastest part of the track. It really is a track of two halves, this, because after this we're going into some real sort of tight selections of chicanes. So we really want to maximize this, and also we've got a good bit of straight coming up after this. It's probably one of the longest sections of actual straight track here at Zolder. So we can see these little kind of bits of concrete cutting in, and you can also see that the white line running on the left hand side of the track there changes, gets a bit of a paint job just in front of the car here. So as we come to this first concrete cut in, just as the paint line changes, we want to drift onto the brakes, probably no more than 35-40%, and then immediately start drawing out of the brakes very, very slowly and start our turn-in just before this second concrete sort of path comes in on the left there. The temptation is to leave the turning in a bit later, but actually if you keep it tight, you're going to sort of carry more speed. You're going to end up bleeding more speed. You're going to end up exiting slower if you leave your turn in later here, if that makes sense. We want to make sure that we're really nice and tight to this inside curb at this stage. We're actually apexing sort of slightly late, which is good here. We need that because we want to really maintain that momentum. But we want to avoid these anti-cut bricks. They're not going to destroy you, but they are going to knock you off balance. But we are, if you note the accelerator trace there, we're already well into the gas before we're apexing here, and really want to you know, brake early, accelerate early here. You want a really speedy exit out here. Keep that steering angle. This sand is not fun to play in. And then we want to come over to the right, gunning up through 5th. Now we're looking past the bridge, 100 board and lamppost. We are braking somewhere sort of around about the lamppost there. Colder tyres, warmer track, you're going to need to brake a little bit earlier. But you can also see we've got this sort of patch of dirt here right by the lamppost. And that's a really good. As soon as I know my car's on that, that's when I start my braking. And we're going to brake super heavily down into 2nd. And then we're going to sort of, in a controlled fashion, pop out of the brake as we turn in. And that's really going to give the car some top-notch rotation. So we're coming right down through the gears, massively heavy on the braking here. And then we're turning in. Where are we turning in? It's a tricky one. It's just after the end of the brick wall when it changes into a metal fencing. And then, like any chicane, we want to try and put the car in a position where we can go between the apexes in as straight a line as possible. So we're cutting the edge off the first chicane. We're straightening up the wheel. And then we're popping over the corner of this one. Now there are anti-cut blocks there. You are going to jump over them. In this case, you don't want to cut any more off. But what you'll find is actually on exit here, there's enough time and enough room for you to turn the car once you've caught balance in the car again after going through the chicane. So focus on straight lining the chicane first and then steering the car out is what I do. Anyway, I don't know if that's the best advice, but that's what I do. On this occasion, I caught quite a lot of the curb and the car jumped and span. Now, I got really lucky there because I made a fatal mistake in that at this point, you want the wheel to be as straight as humanly possible. And I was actually steering at that point. Keep the wheel nice and straight. When you land, you're not going to spin out and die. I actually probably lost, I don't know, a 10th there. But it was a good lap. So, you know, that was fine. So we're sticking over to the left now. We've got a really tight corner. Just lean into it. Keep close to this inside curb. And then when the red and white paint comes on the wall on the left hand side there, and then the line on the left hand side, the paint changes from a bright white to a very dull white. That's your braking marker. Don't miss it. Insta death otherwise. So we're going to come down really hard on the brakes all the way down to first gear, and then as we're running out of the curb here, we're steering in. Now this is a hell of a chicane, this, by the way. I'm going to spend a little bit of time here. As we're running out of curb here on the left, we're steering in and we're aiming not to cut over the middle of these anti-cut strips on the apex there. We're looking to cut them off at an angle towards the next apex. So we are cutting them, but we're not cutting directly across them. We're cutting over them at an angle. And that's important. That's the difference between an off-track and not an off-track. And then you really need to instantly throw yourself into the next corner. The temptation is to wait, but you're gonna end up coming out too wide on the right on the track on exit here, and leave yourself nowhere to go for the final part of this sort of triple prong chicane. So we want to make sure, again, we're cutting over here just a tiny bit of these anti-cut bricks, but we're doing it at an angle with a late apex. So that's really important. So we want to make sure that we come out as far towards the middle of the track or to the left hand side of the track as we possibly can here, because this final part of this corner is designed specifically to trip you up for carrying too much speed through the first two. So we need to make sure we're as far over to the left as we can. I'm coming out of the gas now. I caught a little bit too much of these no cut bricks, but it's not enough track. It's fine. As soon as we're landed, we know we're going to make the exit. We're back into the accelerator, and we've got plenty of room on exit here now. And what we want to do is maintain exactly the same steering angle. So we've got to come in extra tight for this next right-hander. If we want to keep the gas down, you know, we need to make sure we don't miss that turn in. So again, we're over the hill, we're down and round to the left, a little bit like earlier in the course. And we're looking now to the 100 board. With cold tyres, you want to be braking before the 100 board. If you've got your braking dialed in, you can brake on the 100 board and make a really good job of this hairpin. So I'm braking just as we're passing it, and then straight line all the way down into first gear. Really, really heavy braking. And then as soon as we are in first gear, we want to start our turn in and really, really pull out of the brakes. If we time our turn in with us pulling out of the brakes in a really controlled fashion, you're really going to get excellent rotation in the Ferrari here. And then I actually cut a little bit more of the curb than I wanted to here. Again, not enough track, but there's quite a kind of jump between the edge of the grass, the curb, and the road there. So it does kind of, you'll see here that it does kind of make the car sort of jolt a bit. In this instance, I got quite lucky in that actually the jolt just gave me a little bit of extra rotation, so I could get into the gas quite nicely. But you'll notice I was already on the accelerator as we were coming through the curb and building it up nice and gradually. As soon as we got control of the car, I unraveled the wheel and whacked the accelerator up to 100. As long as your wheel is under 90 degrees as you hit full acceleration, you're going to hold it. You're not going to lose grip. So we're coming down to the final chicane now, and we're looking past the 100 board. There's a big lamppost there before the bridge. Depending on how warm your tyres are, depending on what the track temperature's like or what your tyres are like, you're going to brake somewhere in between, but closer to the lamppost than the 100 board. So I'm heavy into the brakes again. We want to get ourselves down to first gear. We're going to hover over to the right hand side of the track, a bit like the last the hairpin we've just done. And we are going to get down to first and then start our turn in. And what we want to do here is, again, we're late apexing this corner. We're getting lots of good rotation in by bleeding out the brakes and turning the wheel. And we want to try and exit as close to the very corner edge of this inside curb that we're on now as we possibly can, to give us lots of room on the final part of this chicane. Now, this is one of the rare situations where you can actually cut these no-cut bricks without too much retribution, sort of straight on. You know, there is a limit, and it's hard to find that limit, but you'll see that I'm really on these bricks and exiting right again on the edge of the curb as the curb ends, and that's giving us the best chance to accelerate as hard as we can while having as minimal steering in the wheel as possible, so we can maintain grip and make the most of that acceleration. So we came out of the gas as we went over the bricks, and as we want to modulate to sort of make sure that we make the exit. But then I'm unraveling the wheel and putting my foot down now, and we're gonna make the exit here, and we're gonna gun it down towards the line for another lap here at Zolder. It's a real handful. It's only 10 corners. It's an absolute monster of a track. There's going to be some good racing here. Don't forget to download the setup and the ghost car from my Discord. The link is in the description. Good luck racing. Let us know how you get on. Let us know if this guide has helped you in any way. And please do hit like and subscribe if you'd like to see more of this kind of thing.